That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, she's back. I can see her back. Hi, Jane. Come on over to the Zoom after show. I can't hear at the moment, but I can see you and you're moving again. Thank God you're moving again. It's all happening. So now all I got to do is tell Jane, hey, Jane, you've just got to go to.
She's got to log out of the other room, right? Out of the StreamYard room.
It's okay. We're on the Zoom after show already. And yeah, I'll see you now. It's all good.
The sign is great behind you. I like the colors. I like the genre.
Yeah, I got a lot of compliments about the sign. The show, not so much, but the sign.
Show was very good.
Just to show
Hey,
that
boys.
It's not about content. Hey.
Hey, Joey.
Good to see y'all. Sorry to hear about your injury, Joseph.
Yeah, but it's now spread to my glute, aka my ass. So
how much are you stretching?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Well, no, that's your problem right there, dude. At our age, you've got to stretch a lot, and before and after run. And I had the same problem because I went out and started running again without stretching, and I never stretched before because I was young. But you have to stretch a lot. So there's myriad things that can go wrong. It sounds much like you're just cramping up. Doesn't sound like. If it's moved, that's a good sign, because that means it's not like
it's not some particular thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking hamstring. I thought it was hamstring.
Well, it's just tight muscles, and a lot of them. And if you're not stretching,
I don't know. I'm gonna take a. I know. I'm gonna take a break. I'm just trying to get Jane. I see you on 2 camera angles at the moment. Jane, I see you now on 2 camera angles.
Oh, that's so funny. She needs to log out of the StreamYard event.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna kick you from the studio. There we go. Let's see if we can get her in. It's all good. No, there was a little bit of everything. There was Bruce, there was Morgan, there was, there was our studio audience. I love doing that. I love pushing. I love the fact that we're experimenting, and if I'll wait for her to join us. I can call her. Let's see, after show link. I think maybe people might not have got the that Chrome thing.
Well, StreamYard only works on Chrome, doesn't it? And maybe Firefox.
Yeah.
So I was just worried people might be using another browser and not be able to get in.
All right. Well, talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic.
Hey, Tom, I just want to let you know I signed up for a Joseph Campbell book club.
Oh,
over the weekend.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. It's called Literati. I don't know how it's going to be. It's $20 a month. They send you a book every month, and then they have like these discussion groups on it.
I didn't even know about that.
Wow,
I didn't either. Cool. I saw it on Facebook, but I love Joseph Campbell so much that I was like, I got to give it a shot. I think it's a bunch of terrible books. I just flushed $240 down the toilet, but it's worth it.
Hey, I should start my own book club.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
You should.
Stuff that I get that I read and get excited about.
I would join it. So just so you know.
Oh, okay. Well, I got a business.
You got $20 a month anyway.
Send your credit card numbers, and
Yes.
Could they just be your books? Could they just be your books?
No, that would be one way to get readers for my books. So thank you, Josh. Good idea. Stuff that I read and get excited about.
Well, it's funny because I was talking with my brother about you over the weekend, and he read Aristotle ran General Motors as well.
Wait, who did? I was hearing something.
My brother. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the back. My brother.
Oh, cool. Very cool. He read that. and I didn't have to ask him to read it. That's good news indeed for me.
Well, he read it because I read it. As I told you, Philosophy for Dummies was the first book I read from you before I knew who you were.
Okay.
And then I read If Aristotle Ran General Motors because I was a businessman.
Oh yeah, right.
All right. So Jane, we're just trying to figure out if the feedback's on your end.
So go to click on participants and you can see whose mic it is. Yeah, it's Jane's mic.
That's good news indeed for me.
Well, he read it because I read it. As I told you, Philosophy for Dummies was the first book I read. She has a couple of browsers open. And then I read If Aristotle Ran General Motors.
Jane, if Jane has earbuds, if you have earbuds of any kind, no, you don't. Okay.
We're just trying to figure out if the feedback's on your end.
I'm not on mentioned more than once.
Want me to go out and come back in again?
Yeah,
Why don't I go
try.
out? I'll go out.
You can try it and see.
Joseph, you send her a note that she has to click out of Facebook because that's plain.
Oh yeah, that's what I did the other
it is.
day. I
Yeah.
remember that.
You know, I figured Bob Farnham should know better. From a tech standpoint.
I thought was
damn
that
you,
she
Farnham.
needed earbuds
All
or
right.
a really
Uh,
big
she needs to shut off
microphone.
Facebook.
Jane. All right, everybody be quiet.
Okay. Shh.
Jane.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Great.
See?
sorry about that. I just went out. Yeah,
That's
I
good.
heard Bob.
All right. So, welcome to the after show. We started off by talking about Tom Morris is starting a book club. So I've already got my first 3 books. I've got the Oasis Within. I've got Plato's Lemonade Stand
Oh my
Oh, wow.
goodness.
and Socrates in Silicon Valley.
But then I've got to make sure you get this one as well. See,
Yeah.
Joseph taught me that product placement is everything.
Way to go, Tom.
Thank you, Joseph.
I love the title.
Yeah, I'm good at titles. So once you get in the book itself, it goes downhill real fast. But the title's good.
That's great.
What a bunch
Jane-
of comedians we are today.
I know.
Everybody's
I love it,
everybody's
I love
being
it.
extra funny. It's very
She's
funny.
unleashed the funny within.
Well, I was gonna say, even what I thought was kind of interesting is even there could be a very interesting use case, which is, and you tell me, Jane, whether this makes any sense, but even the joke about the mobile, the boarding pass versus a mobile boarding pass, but it's this idea of like instant feedback from people that have got your back, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and I think, and I guess it's not like there's a question, but I wonder to what extent comedians have been using this virtual environment to really test new material.
Well, one thing I've been doing different is instead of just doing on a voice memo, just recording my voice, I will on my camera go to video and record myself that way to look at it. What comedians have often done for a long time is we'll call each other. We have comedy buddies, and we'll just try out new material on each other, and then we'll kind of tag it, or we'll say that doesn't make sense or that slows it down. I mean, you can only have a handful of these people that, because I can be oversensitive, but you have a handful of people who you really trust. And I have 2 civilians I really trust. One woman is extremely logical, which I lack in great abundance. And she helps me get to the, whatever the nub of the joke. But my comedy buddy, Brad Zimmerman, he'll often just say to me, like, I'll blather a joke. And he'll say, what are you trying to say there, Jane? And then I'll say it, and that's the way I should say it. When I try to simplify it or say it again. And that gets me closer to the truth. We're always trying to get closer to the truth. I mean, we can exaggerate from there. That's why Donald Trump has been so hard for a lot of us, besides the fact that you'll have hecklers if you do any Trump material. Because I had this joke that I won't be using about, I've been trying to think ahead about life after the pandemic. And can you imagine a Trump presidential library? Whoa, no books. Okay, let's see. I'm not, there'll be plenty of videos. There'll be The Apprentice Room, Fox News. What else? Former Wives. friends and felons, we wish them well. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. But like, it's not worth it to me to do political stuff because you lose half the audience. I used to be able to, and people didn't mind, but
Yeah,
people
those are the old
sensitive.
days.
So do you mean that literally half the audience? Because it is kind of a poll.
Not half in Connecticut, but
It's
half
Jane,
nationally.
it's actually 49.3% of the audience, and it's a shortfall of about 5 million, 3 to 5 million. Just if you're, I don't know if you're meticulous
In
about
New
numbers.
England, you're only going to maybe get 1 or 2, say, couples in an audience, but they've become very vociferous, like they actually express their displeasure. So you throw up your hands and say it's not worth it. You're either going to go full bore like Colbert. He's like a fire hose. You know where he's coming from. And then, what's his name? Miller. So there've been ones who have made careers on both sides. We used to all go down the middle. And then with cable TV coming in, you sort of had to pick a side or don't do it. Down the middle, a lot of us still try, but it's harder.
But actually, Jane, you bring up such an amazing concept, which is right. With comedy, you have to try and pick a lane, because if you try and be all things to all people, you end up being nothing to nobody. And so in the case of Colbert, and I would argue, I saw it with Trevor Noah as well. You know, as a South African, you know, but look at Colbert. I mean, Colbert, his ratings were not great, I think, initially. And when he was kind of, the same thing happened with Jimmy Fallon, right?
Very good point. Very good point.
When they stopped, try to hedge, you know, as you say, your true voice is you.
Have a point of view. Have a point of view.
Yeah.
That's what people want.
You know, Jane, I'm so glad you brought that up about political humor, because I've been a public philosopher for 30 years, and I've given like 1,200 talks in front of groups, and I always try to use a lot of humor, a lot of funny stories, a lot of unexpected, laughs in the, philosophy talk.
Yeah.
But I always start my talks by asking the audience, okay, who here can name for me any of the great philosophers in human history? Anybody yell a name, and whether it's 100 people or 10,000 people, everybody's going to be yelling Plato, Socrates, Aristotle. One time 2 years ago, somebody yelled out really loud, Donald Trump. And I spontaneously said,
yes,
I think that's the only thing he's never been accused of. And everybody laughed.
Great.
Because even the right wingers in the audience appreciated the fact that he was being accused of everything, so I got really lucky on that one.
Right. My other Trump joke that I don't do is, I came up with it early on before I caved on doing any, was about his daughter, Tiffany, that he actually during the first convention said, very proud of all my children, and Tiffany too. And I'm like, oh, as a parent, oh. And they, well, you all know Tiffany was named after the store next door to Trump Tower, Tiffany's. And I'm thinking, well, thank God it wasn't a Chipotle. I love that joke, but I can't use it. But I have one other one. Oh,
you can use it here.
Well, yes, very limited. That's my very first question, actually, anywhere, is who's my audience? That's it. But the other
and you asked me that. Finish, Shane.
Yeah. Oh well, I just said about I did a New Year's Eve show for 1,500 people after his election, and I said to any of you here who voted for Don, and they were mostly not Trump followers, but I said to any of you here who did vote for Donald Trump, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving someone with mental illness a chance. Thank you for helping one of my people. But why couldn't you elect someone bipolar? At least half the time things would go well. So that's gone too.
Jane, what did you think of Jim Gaffigan coming out with his? Because that surprised everyone.
And yes, and so much yes. Jim Gaffigan and I started out, and Lisa Lampanelli, at Treehouse in Westport, Connecticut. And, little dives. It moved to Norwalk at some point, but that for comedians, that was huge. And it was
Yeah.
so very brave because he's a straight shooter. I mean,
Very.
he's, I'm a lapsed Catholic, but he's a real practicing Catholic, 5 kids, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And if he's speaking out, because to me, he was putting country ahead of comedy. When I say about you lose half the audience, so maybe it's not half of him, but he lost at least 30%. That's a big source of income. He just threw out the window because he felt it was more important to speak his heart. I have nothing but respect for him for doing that, but it cost him. I'm not sure that other people realize that. All the comedians went, whoa, bye-bye. And very brave. That's courage.
Oh.
Yeah.
What a guy. And he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. His wife had the brain tumor. And I mean, these two are amazing. He's always crawling around New York, trying out new material, like at Gotham. He'll go on a new talent show, but so will Seinfeld. I was doing a show in the 90s at the old Gotham, and someone said, hey, Jane, we got to bump you because Jerry's here. I said, Jerry who? Jerry Diner? He said, no, Jerry. And I looked out to the bar, the Nets hat, the blue jeans. I'm there like, oh my God, it's Jerry Seinfeld. So he does 5-10 minutes. I'm just like blown away. I mean, live in person, to hear any comedian live in person, it's another thing. And I just thought, oh my God, I have to go on after him. So I went downstairs, gathered my thoughts, come back up. He goes off the stage, some thunderous applause. And I got on stage and I thought, I can't compete with this. So I just said, let's just keep it going for Jerry Seinfeld. That was just so wonderful. And I can't wait to go home and tell my boys that Jerry Seinfeld opened for Mummy.
That's good.
But one thing that Seinfeld says that I really, really value is he says it's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. And that's why to have you guys here listening, interacting, in Joseph's case, improving my joke.
Sorry.
No. Hey, I'm grateful because I when I wrote that joke, you only had paper boarding passes, and you made me realize it. Oh my God, to the new generation. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the you hate to see the oldies but goodies die. But anyway, it is a dialogue with the
Not
audience.
dead yet. Sorry.
And I love interacting with the audience. And I remember once when I was visiting my LA boy, I went down to, what's it called? The Comedy and Magic Store in Hermosa Beach, where Jay Leno works out every Sunday night. Because my son and I had only ever seen him on TV. And I know that, do crowd work when you're on TV. I wanted to see, is he a real comic? Does he really do this? He was so great. He was so great. I mean, the real headliners, because they emceed for so long, they can do the crowd, they can work the crowd. They hear the littlest thing in the audience.
So now I was just going to say, so now Jim Gaffigan can hold himself in the most esteemed of companies, of celebrities that have taken a position. So now we have Jim Gaffigan and Taylor Swift. So that, I mean,
yeah, but it is
double size of 2.
Just 2. Well, no,
but in all seriousness, I mean, they would, and in particular,
great.
and look, if you take a kind of if you elevate this conversation, what's really happening is whether you are a celebrity or a public speaker, like many of us are, you play it safe. You take a middle of the road. You recognize that you're playing to numbers and quantity, and for the most part, I think life is good up until this point. It seems now that different people and different facets of life. Even I write a lot about the corporation, right? The big multinational corporation that tries to be all things to all people. That is vanilla. That is middle of the road. That doesn't take a point or a position or a point of view. And then with everything going on with Black Lives Matter, suddenly these companies are found left wanting because they don't have a point of view, because they've been able to escape for as long as they have by just being average and mediocre. And I think maybe what's happening is the universe is telling us, pick a lane and stick to your lane and build back build back, because Gaffigan will build back. There's no doubt. There's no
Yes.
doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, that was going to go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, it seemed clear to me that really defining your audience and figuring out specifically who you want to be talking to, even if that gets people off your list, like you were saying, Joseph, with your friends list, and how at 5,000, anything below that, you can tell that people are you're picking them off. I think it's great to isolate your market, and it allows you to be yourself. It allows you to do what you want to do without having to sort of tiptoe around and what do they say, dance on eggshells. So and he will definitely have his market come back. It'll only grow. It can only
good.
grow.
I'm happy to hear you think that. That's great.
Oh, totally.
He deserves it, you know. But
Oh.
how amazing to put country ahead of comedy, or ahead of your career. That was a lot.
Well, Taylor Swift did the same thing. I watched a documentary around her, and she's a very impressive young woman.
I was so surprised when I watched.
Yeah,
that
me too. I
documentary.
actually just thought she was just a teeny
Right,
bopper, but she's
bopper on her.
brilliant, great writer, ridiculous hard worker. And
Yeah.
she went through hell going against Trump. I mean, the amount of vitriol that she had to go through and read about on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and they were brutal. And these are not just, trolls. These are other celebrities, other people in places of politics, people that she was like, I can't believe the attacks against her. And she had to stop watching, kind of like Billie Eilish when she came out and said certain things. It's anyone who comes up is brave, because it is a massive maelstrom of hate that comes at you when you discredit Mr. Trump.
I didn't like her music before, and now I still don't like her music. Sorry, carry on. No, but I respect her a lot.
Yeah,
more.
me too.
I didn't see that twist, Joseph. I thought you were going to say, but now I do respect your music.
No,
Comedy is
like her.
surprise. It's always surprise left turn,
Okay, I've got a question. Speaking of surprises, have you ever been badly surprised by an audience or an event you were doing in either of two ways?
Yeah.
One, okay, this is my toughest audience I've ever had.
Right.
Secondly, you didn't think that, but midway during a set, something happens that you have no idea how you're going to deal with it.
Well, I think one shortened version of what you're asking is, have you ever bombed?
Right.
And almost all comedians have bombed. I mean, you always have a comedian, you better have bombed. my one, I have a bomb of a show, but this is a better story. It was 1,500 people, New Year's Eve, down in Charleston, South Carolina. It was mostly business people and scientists, and a nice high-level audience, smart. And we do song parodies we do the year in review, we do song parodies. I do interstitials, in between. I just think of a joke on the topic, whatever they talked about. Well, they did a song about TV. And I said, this was maybe 2007, 8. And I said, well, I love cable TV, and I really love that show 24. I don't know if any of you gentlemen ever watched it. Kiefer Sutherland. I loved and adore that show. I really identify with Chloe, the geeky girl. I said, I know Chloe is married to Morris, but I think she should be married to Jack, unless something happened to Morris. And I didn't tune in for nanoseconds. It was crickets. To a comedian, it was like a truck could have driven through. I felt, you have no idea how badly I felt. Now, you have an option when things go south. You can acknowledge, or you can just blaze on through. So I chose to acknowledge. Remember, Johnny Carson made a career out of that, to say when a joke bombed. He had many repartee for witty comebacks. So I just thought, I gotta, acknowledge. So I said, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot, you people are so educated, you don't watch cable TV. You're reading Wall Street Journal, Scientific Journal, okay, Scientific American. Okay. So the show goes on. It's a blip for most people, but for me, I felt badly. The rest of the show went well, but they're like, God damn it. And after the show, a man came up to the stage and he said, well, I really like 24. And I said, sir, I think it's you, your wife, me, and my son. He said, well, I'm the executive producer. And he
Wow.
said, and you should be on my show. And I said, I think I should. I said, I'm an FBI agent's daughter. I think I'd make a great CTU analyst, counterterrorism unit analyst, which is a made up thing on the show. And by God, they had me on the second to last show. I still get residuals. It's like incredible. One line. How do you want it coded? Yes, ma'am, which I made into 2 lines. How do you want it coded? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to put that on my tombstone. How do you want it coded? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly.
That's lemons to lemonade right there.
Yeah,
you know?
seriously.
It was very educational for me.
Yeah, that's
You know,
good. That's
sometimes
good.
you just lose. Sometimes you just lose, and then you just have to buck yourself up and say, tomorrow's going to be another day. If you don't fail, I don't know any of the good ones who haven't failed
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
bombed.
That's a very philosophical point, you know? I mean, first of all, you grow from those difficulties, but secondly, some of the difficulties aren't the bad things they seem, because they make you grow and they get you on Jack Bauer's TV show, you know? I mean, you just never know. So the Stoic philosophers were always saying, don't rush to judgment. Don't be too quick to say this is the best thing in the world or this is the worst thing in the world. Just kind of be patient, see how it plays out, you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you've made a living off of philosophy, but my hat's off to you.
Well,
You and
yeah.
Steve Martin are the only ones I know.
You know, it is funny. When I left the university 25 years ago to be an independent philosopher, all my friends thought I'd lost my mind entirely. Just the way they think about you when you decide to go into comedy. You know, it's like,
Totally.
in fact, a friend of mine writes the monologues for Condon on the Late Late Show.
Oh,
And
I
wow.
love him. I love him.
he was going to be, he was a Greenwich guy. What do they call it? He was an investment banker.
Oh
And
Wow.
he was an investment bank and hated it so
Greenwich
much.
guy.
Greenwich
I'm
guy.
sure his wife was thrilled at this career
Yeah,
change.
I know. And he's from India, and so his parents were so proud. Well, they had to get over the fact that he wasn't a doctor, but they were kind of proud of him being an investment banker. And but then it was so stressful. He said he had to have brain surgery, and he woke up from brain surgery, true story, and told his parents he decided to become a comic. So they took out the investment banking neurons, and what was left was the comedy neurons. So he's done that. He's done that.
That's a
ever
wonderful.
since.
That's
Yeah,
a wonderful story. Do you know, every recession we get a lot of lawyers, like Wall Street lawyers. They decide they want to try it. And, you know, actually a lot of them are very verbally facile. So
Yeah.
a lot of them are pretty good. They're pretty good as writers, but they often have to work on the performing aspect.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And they're so confused because the billable hours impress nobody.
You made a good joke there, Mr. Morris, without even intending to. I don't even know.
Yeah.
He's one of those Greenwich guys.
Nice
right.
down.
You know, you
Oh,
never know.
nice to meet you.
No,
So Bob, are you a philosopher or writer or speaker? What do you do?
No, I am. I do digital marketing here in Vermont.
Oh, you could also be a voice. You're a good voiceover person, don't you think?
he cheats. He's got
Yes.
the expensive microphone.
I
You know,
did
check
get
out
the expensive
microphone.
mic. It's embarrassing enough so that I have
It's a
to.
thing of beauty, I tell you.
Yeah.
I bought it with the idea of podcasting where no one would see it, but I'd have really good audio quality. And then Zoom and all the video stuff started happening, and I'm like, well, got to step it up.
That's his story. That's his story. He bought it for video, so the rest of us would feel like peons. We just grow very quiet and respectful when you see this huge microphone.
I know.
That is not
talking to Walter
that's not what
Cronkite.
comes to mind when I think of you, Tom, is quiet. And no, I
Les-
come because of your contribution.
Leslie, what do you do in the real world?
Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry I missed the show earlier. I was at a doctor's appointment, and I actually met you at the Friars Club a long time ago.
Wow.
So
Wow.
my husband was on the board of directors of the Friars, so we did a
Wow.
lot. We met a lot, and
Oh boy.
we know comedy from the Friars
you
Club.
do.
so-
No, if you can get in, you're a comedy connoisseur. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
so great to see you again, though it's been quite a few years. And
Did you go to the Gilbert Godfrey roast?
Oh
of
yeah,
Friars? Oh my God, when he did the Aristocrats,
that
my son had just
Wow.
started dating this nice little girl. We asked her parents to come. I don't know why I asked my husband to come, but I did. And he ended with the Aristocrats. It was a
That
Hugh
was-
Hefner roast. And my husband said to me, "Why did you do that in front of our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
and
was a-
I said, honey, I didn't know Gilbert was gonna, it's like the dirtiest joke, the
Yep.
dirtiest by far joke you've ever heard. I was in shock. I thought, oh my God, these people don't even know comedy. They're gonna be in shock. Well, it turns out, like 4 years later, the mom said to me, why have you never invited us to a roast again? We thought that guy was really funny.
Yeah, I saw it done again at the big theater downtown LA. I forgot which event it was. It was
Didn't
some
they make a movie out of it?
Yeah.
oh, maybe
yeah,
that was for
yes.
the movie. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was. I'm trying to remember. It was a premiere of the movie.
no.
So it
They
you never gets easy to
Yeah,
listen to.
They
Well,
did,
Joey-
they did make a movie, and I
Yeah.
think Bob Saget was.
Yeah, I think so.
I remember his version of it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's,
Joey, I'm my attention is totally pulled by your little boy. How
Yeah, it's my little
adorable.
dude Cannon. Thank you.
How
Pretty
old
cute.
is he?
He just turned
27.
7.
He's 27.
He just turned 7. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
just turned 7. I thought you said he's 27. It's like, so what's your name, honey?
What's your name?
Cannon.
Danny?
Yeah.
Oh.
Cannon.
Cannon.
Oh, Cannon. Oh, that's a great name. You could be a rap artist, Cannon. That sounds good.
Ooh, that's
Cannon, what does Daddy do for a living? What's
Um,
Daddy's work?
Working on a book and talking to people.
And talking to me.
He
Yes,
does
he has
it
a-
very well.
He
Very-
actually has it in his on his LinkedIn profile now.
Yes.
Ah.
we
What,
should all
Yeah.
do that. Brilliant.
what's
We
your
should.
field? What's your field, Joey? I heard you comment on therapy, but physical.
Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home dad now. I met Joseph in the land of media. So I worked in media for 20 years.
Wow.
I ran an ad agency for the last 10,
Wow.
and it was great. And then, long story short, I decided to take some time off. My wife is an executive in the industry as well, and so I wanted to write a book. So I said I was going to take a year off
Yeah.
and do that, and that was 3 years ago. And I just finished the book up, and it's in my editor's hands now, and it'll be published in December. And then I'm starting a podcast on the same. It's called Dirty Words: The Diary of a Recovering Douchebag.
Oh,
And
what a great title.
thank you. And it's basically a book. It's to discuss the thesis that we have in the book is that there are no
Things
dirty
you did
words.
for life.
Yeah, there are no dirty words in this world. We just make them so. And so I wanted to bring out topics specific to mental health. That's what the book,
Oh.
through humor, the book
Oh,
is about
thank you.
me making fun of myself for 70,000 words.
I love your kid.
Thank you. Me too.
He's going to do well in life. Very cute.
It's always great to see, you know, our guests, Jane. So for example, Tom was a guest. Bruce obviously was a guest. You know, Joey is an old friend who became a guest. But our guests become our friends, and now once a month we do the show, which we say the people formerly known as the audience, where I do a show with all of my after show regulars. And so, you know, I always say to all of our guests, you're welcome to come back anytime, any day. My joke that I make is don't come for me, just look at who the guests are, and that can determine whether you come or not. But I start to see interesting similarities and differences with my guests. And I always love it when my guests are curious and want to find out who else is on, you know, who is on the after show with us, and ask after them. It's not everyone. It's more the exception than the norm. And sometimes they do it for business purposes, actually. So there's a good and a bad, right? Not to say it's a bad, but there's some people that are actually genuinely, you know, like maybe there's some networking I can do here. But what's happened with CoronaTV is we've become this,
Family.
yeah, and a family is the best word to describe it. Which, by the way, doesn't mean that we don't connect with one another and collaborate with one another and try and help one another, because we do that as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge you because it's always great to see.
Well, yeah, I like I like people. Also, my dad used to say, Janie, you could talk a dog off a meat wagon. So I'm very conscious of trying not to talk all the time. My family used to actually pay me to be quiet. That was how bad it was. I get 10 cents to go from Brockton to Cape Cod and a quarter round trip, and I never got the quarter.
That's funny.
But Bob, I'm looking at your green screen.
Yeah.
Is it a green screen? It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I just didn't want to clean my studio, so I put up the green screen. It's easier. And then yeah, go ahead.
No, please. I'd rather hear you talk.
Oh, it's just so easy to, you put a picture and then you click on it and then it'll.
I finally, that's nice, because I did get the green screen, but I haven't figured out how to use it yet. And so I'll show you what one of my backgrounds was for a while. I have all these boxes in my basement because I'm kind of a hoarder, and you can see
that's a great background.
2004, 2005. But I really need to get a green screen. Oh, I see, Joseph, you've got a green screen.
Yeah, I've I'll show you. We actually built it into the the wall. So there's a whiteboard underneath there, but I don't use the whiteboard because that would imply actually having work. So
or an idea.
Ouch, that hurt.
Okay, technical question. You guys, your green screens are so good, but some people, I see a black aura around their heads as they move.
That's no green screen.
So there's two different kinds of green screen. There's the virtual one that that Zoom lets you do, and it somehow has an algorithm that knows what part it's supposed to be showing, and then like Joseph and I each literally have a green sheet behind us, and it projects the image onto that, whatever that color is. If I had a green shirt on, you'd just see my head.
Wow.
So it is better to have it.
And you can get those green screen sheets as a cost of paper. So I don't have it behind me now, but when I do my formal production, I actually roll it in. It's in the hallway. It's on a big clothes like hanging rack, and I have it over the. Oh yeah, there she is. Yeah.
So what she's doing now?
Yeah. So I have mine is on a big rack. I just roll it in behind me and use it. So.
I wish I had a rack. I haven't figured out how to get this to stand up yet.
Yeah.
Funny.
But I thought it was a good visual aid. I'm all about the visual aids.
And then you'll notice. Wait, I've got to switch it off. Hold on.
Is it at one?
Great. She could do an act while doing this with her green screen. Jane could have an entire act with trying to set up the green screen.
That's hysterical, actually. That is very funny.
Because we're all saying.
Hey, does anybody need a tomato? I went tomato picking on Saturday. I'm kind of low on tomatoes.
It looks good against
roast them.
And Jane, and then you've got you've got the lights. You see, you've got the ring lights.
Oh yeah.
So there are three of those ring lights that are, because Bob is trying to teach me how to do this, but not very well.
Keep going, Bob. I'm listening. Yep.
By the way, that's not to slight what you're saying. It's what I'm doing that I'm saying not very well. But you light the green screen from the bottom up, and then you light the subject, and that avoids these issues where you start seeing people looking like they're apparitions or.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Check out YouTube. There's some great YouTube videos already up there on how to do your own green screen, because you're almost there.
I know.
So don't give up on it. You'll want to do it in landscape mode, and you'll want to do it in a place briefly where you can just have a couple hooks on the ceiling because that particular thing has a couple loops on the side of it, right? So find a place where you can put a couple of things in the ceiling and just hang that thing up and click the mouse and off you go.
Yeah, you're
so right. You look like you've got paint dripped all over you now. But
I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know why I have the green screen, and now
very cool.
Not sure why.
I obviously have the best green screen ever. That wasn't even a real kid. That was my green screen.
Video.
Hilarious, Joey. Oh my God, that's so funny.
And Jane, usually we hear his kids reciting Chinese in the background. They're
Yeah,
all
That
the-
is true.
If we
Oh
weren't,
my God.
yeah,
Oh,
if we
that's
weren't
great.
impressed enough with Bob's microphone, it's Joey's kids reciting Chinese stuff, and the rest of us just feel like we're
That's so
pikers. You know?
sweet. That's so
Yeah.
It's
sweet.
their first language. Their mommy's Chinese. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great. How lucky for those kids. My
Definitely.
first son was born in Japan. And so for 3 years, he spoke Japanese and English. Japanese, they go to school at 1.5 there. No wonder they do well. Anyway, and then we moved to Greenwich. He was very behind when he was age 3.
Wow.
He didn't speak either one very well. It hadn't come together yet.
Yeah.
But for them to hear it young, I envy you.
Oh, see, my first language was Southern, and it didn't work too well in Yale.
You're coming with Mr. Lee.
right now,
Yeah, only 2 minutes.
So
So
Jane,
I was in New Haven a few years. I was 6 years in New Haven, so I know where you guys live. I could find you anytime.
yeah.
So you're
you would.
Is that a threat?
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, watch out, philosophy's on your way. You know?
Wow.
So do you see that sheen around
Yeah.
me now?
Yeah.
That's so no, so that is the Zoom setting. You know,
Okay.
that's the Zoom setting that kind of gives you the green screen effect, except if you actually have a green screen,
Oh,
right?
Oh.
Then you have to check the box that says, which I just did now, that says I have a green screen.
Oh, and it goes away. Got
Yeah.
it. I know that's
that's-
right under. Yeah. I saw. Yeah. Do you do the mirror? It says.
No,
click
don't do that.
something. Don't do that.
No,
Unless your shirt, whatever it says on your shirt, is backwards. Then switch
I
to the
think
mirror.
I think
thing.
mine is mine mirrored right now because this is working for me because now if I
Your
want to
shirt,
point,
and you'll be able to tell if it's mirrored.
stand
because-
up. Oh, yeah.
well, this is it. Is this the right or the
That's the
wrong
right
Africa?
way.
That's
That's
right.
the right way.
Yeah, that's the right way for
That's
us.
for you, Jane, because South Africa is your because you
No,
love South Africa.
we didn't get to it, but it's my second favorite country. The natural beauty of South Africa is
Really.
wow. I just, like my son worked in a vineyard and the mountains were like this close to the beach. It was just, also we saw penguins. That was so cute. Just all the
Wow.
penguins coming out of, and the food is great and the wine, the Stellenbosch and Franche.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to have I have plenty of South African wine here, and of course you're in Greenwich, and I don't know if Phil is still with us. He's still with us. He's in Greenwich,
Hey,
so
guys.
we might have to get together with some real wine and real conversation. Not that this isn't real conversation, but I wanted to tell you one other thing as well. That background you have, that beautiful background you have with all your material.
Uh-huh.
You could
yeah.
probably have a lot of fun with that with 2020. That's what I'm saying. 2020 could be a sticky, or it could be a missing box, or there could be like 9 boxes that say 2020,
Yeah, right.
and then there could be
I
another
see.
box.
Oh, I'm
And-
sorry.
and
I
then
get it.
You,
Yeah.
And you could do the opposite as well. There could be 9 boxes that say 2020, and then 1 box that says 2000 to 2019.
I could do 2020 and just put an X through it.
Yeah. No, there's so much you could do, and it just as long as you continue to do these virtual stuff, you could have a
Yeah.
lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
And
And
very subtly always have almost like have a different take on 2020, but as told through the lens of a green screen.
Wow.
And
Wow.
you have the image, the base image, and you can just use Photoshop to Photoshop out whatever's on each of those boxes. So you
Ah.
could change that background to
I'm going to Photoshop in that microphone. I think we all have microphone envy.
Yeah, we do. We do.
You could
well,
you could
go
have
for it.
you could have one box in 2020 where you have what looks like an orange wig just hanging out.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Just a
You're
flyer
rising
there.
to the occasion today, Joseph. This is good.
Well, I'm inspired by Jane.
Yeah, definitely. We all are.
Fairly obvious. But Jane, thank you for spending so much time with us
Oh,
today.
no,
And-
my pleasure. Thank you so much. What a pleasure. We'll have a little vaccine party with some South African wine once we get to the vaccine.
that sounds good.
I mean, because if you drink enough wine, it actually acts like a vaccine. It's the
And you can
forgetting
bring
about
your-
everything
You
else.
can bring Danny, Joe.